Hello, Deacon Michael Zapp here, inviting you to continue to support and give praise to the New Way to Live gospel program.
So, it's always a pleasure to name Satan. Remember, I told you my great grandma was named Calloway.
That's right. I was telling him. I said we were related somewhere.
That's what I'm trying to say. Have you done it in a new way yet?
No, I haven't, but we're having a family reunion in Washington, D.C.
Just found out that anybody came from Pine Mountain area.
And
Harris
I had a
County
cousin
area.
who actually did some genealogy, and we did have some connection with the folks up there.
Okay, well, that's the same thing here.
All right.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm trying to tell them we got to lay claim to our.
You better believe it. That's right. That's right. You gotta do it. So, you just lower a little bit for me, Sister Bob. I'd like to welcome to the next session of Visions. Of course, Visions is a community affairs presentation for Power to the People News and New Way. New Way, we're going to get it right afterwards.
New Way.
Right. What was that?
New way to live.
New Way to Live. That's right, on YouTube. And of course, we certainly, as always, love to have you with us on Sunday night. Boy, it's been a weekend. Hope you got your turkey down. You got your turkey up or whatever it is. But, and I was just listening to a number of things that we're going to talk about tonight. But one of my favorite subjects we're going to talk about tonight, and we're for one of my favorite people. And there's a lot. I mean, we might have to do a series because there's so much that I need to talk to Brother Tony Calloway about. And again, welcome to Visions Now.
Thank you for having me.
It's not Visions of yesterday. Our visions for tomorrow. We ain't got there yet, but it's visions now.
Amen.
That's right.
All right.
And we're going to find out what your vision is with this private money.
Okay.
And I'm going to
be here.
I'm going to share my vision with how that private money can help Ujamaa. Cooperative economics.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. What I want to open up today with is, on your behalf, is the first black insurance company.
Oh, okay.
The first black insurance company was established in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1810 by three black businessmen, James Porter, William Coleman, and Joseph Randolph. Knew whites were not inclined to insure or bury black people. Black bodies, especially those that remained from public executions by legal or extra-legal agents, were often allowed to conspicuously rot in the streets. The African American Insurance Company came into existence for the specific purpose of providing funds for a proper burial of black Americans. The insurance company stayed in business for more than 30 years. Wow. First black insurance company, 1810. And I guess let's start with that.
Okay.
Because I know you, we went to the back to the A.L. Williams days.
A.L. Williams.
I was an A.L. Williams man before it was Prime America.
28 and a half years.
And of course, I jumped ship from A.L. Williams. But we went through a little evolution.
It did.
Then. And but I was in Detroit at the time, and I knew that, that A.L. Williams was coming out of Columbus, so he just Columbus, and let me support Columbus, and so I did that, and but it was a good education. That's one thing about Prime Miracle and A.L. Williams. There was a lot of education going on with it. It wasn't just saying the insurance, but you were really getting a kind of
and that's what we called
micro
the crusade back then.
What'd you call it?
The crusade.
The crusade. Exactly. Because that's exactly what I remember. Part of it was trying to explain to our community why they should switch insurance companies from what they had to
in some cases the debit agent,
right.
The country where I'm from, and whole life, which was the main thing being sold at the time. Understand buy term and invest in difference.
Right, exactly. Because I was definitely a whole life man, and whole life worked out right.
Yeah, I had a whole life too. That's all I do. Matter of fact, when the guy sold my policy, they asked him was he gonna come by the house and pick it up every 2 weeks.
Right.
That's what I knew.
Exactly. And now my insurance with early insurance guys was that one of my earliest memories of disdain was seeing this gentleman who are of another persuasion, coming to our house and just walking up on our porch without knocking and asking for my grandmother by her first name.
Yeah.
I mean, because nobody that I knew talked to, they were always Miss Ivory.
Right.
You know, and he walked up, walked in and like he, I'm a little kid playing in the yard. It just something didn't sit right with me.
I understand.
So I'm watching this dude. I'm trying to say, what's this? And so one of my major accomplishments was when I moved back to Columbus, I stopped them from coming to our house. I told Mama we're gonna start sending it in the mail. He's not gonna be coming up here like he at home.
Exactly.
So that's over. She understood. So she had to. Well, we're gonna start sending it in.
Right.
So because back in those days, they kind of, they took some liberties that didn't sit right with me.
And on top of that, well, there were a lot of things back then which were, they were taking the money, weren't applying it to the policy. They were just putting it in the pocket and all kind of misconduct, which was not to spare the company. Sometimes the agents, but they didn't know any better.
But it was the rule of thumb going back again when you talk about why insurance company didn't really, they just saw us as being a little profit margin. Right. Just like with this situation, they didn't want to insure us, and now of course. And when we talk about reparations, we were insured, and they got billions and billions of dollars, because they insured us as cargo. And coming over here, and many of these Wells Fargo and a lot of the other major banking establishments and insurance
Lloyd's
companies.
of London. That was
come on now, And we're gonna talk about reparations one of these occasions, time permits as well. But what I really want to talk to you about today is, to start with, you have been very, very active over the years with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And of course, my thing that I've been, and of course I was kind of somebody involved as well. And of course during that time I got more involved when you were there.
Right.
Because I felt like somebody was there that, that could bridge the gap for us. But I also remember, that the Chamber of Commerce, maybe I got it wrong, but they were not very pleased with the fact that we were trying to get a black Chamber of Commerce at that time.
And that was one of my early falling outs, in the sense that I remember the day at that time the president was Mike Gaiman, and I was on the board, and he came and had a conversation saying there's a move to form a black chamber. And I told him, I said, well, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look, it's like this. It's kind of like the movie The Titanic. If you got 1,000 people in the water drowning, and we ain't got but 500 life preservers, and somebody else show up with some more life preservers, they doing a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
And so didn't like that answer, but the facts are.
Everybody else has them.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, when I did one of those chamber trips to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Charlotte's real progressive.
Right, and see, and what they did up there was they had a women's chamber of commerce, they had a black chamber of commerce, they had a Hispanic or Latino chamber of commerce. In other words, so they all had an affiliate relationship with the general chamber of commerce. But here in Columbus, they didn't want us.
Competition.
I'm trying to say they didn't want us to grow and to develop, when they should have been really, like they did in Charlotte, they should have been helping us grow.
Exactly.
Because that's one of the problems that we have today, is that we're too much of a consumer people. Going back again, my point here, when we talk about the insurance company, that was just one business. I mean, from the 1865, 66 to 1920.
Hi, my name is Tony Calloway. I am the CEO and managing partner of the Private Money Syndicate. I can be reached at 706-888-3719, and our website is privatemoneysyndicate.com. And I'm very excited to be here on the New Way to Live Network. Thank you.
I think you understand, we had a lot of businesses of all varieties. We had created our own economy during that time.
And I was talking to somebody recently. I said, I remember as a child, my mother's from Columbus. I grew up in the rural part of Middle Georgia, but we would come to Columbus and go downtown, and downtown was full of black business.
Exactly.
And this was in the 60s, early 60s.
Our Black Wall Street area is now known as the Liberty District. That was the Black Wall Street area. And we used to play down there. There were businesses everywhere. I had relatives who had businesses. My godparents had businesses down there. And of course the Liberty Theater was where, we went. Entertainment, exactly. You name it. That's where, we all met on the weekends during the week. It was that kind of a dynamic that I think that really set the tone for me in what was, I guess, if you've grown up and have not known that we have a black business community, then you don't miss what you never had. I guess to say. But those of us who grew up at a time when we actually had a economy, when we didn't have. Now my grandmother was telling me that back in the day they went to town once a month. They didn't have to go. Like now, we went once a week, back, in my time. So, I mean, but my point is that throughout the week, we didn't have to go nowhere other than in our community. Whatever you wanted, from a house to a car to a popsicle, Baby Ruth, you could get it in the neighborhood.
And the beautiful thing about those times is there was that sense of community. My son has moved to New York, and moving from Columbus, having lived in Atlanta, going to that area in Brooklyn, for example, on a block, let's say within 2 blocks, you got everything you need because everybody pretty much, once they get home after dealing with whatever commuter, everything that they need is there. And so in that area of Columbus that you were just discussing, just about, I grew up near the Macon. Macon was very much the same way.
Exactly.
We had a collective economics that was because what we made, barely making it out, whatever we were doing, and the wages that we were paid, it was multiplied because it was circulated within our community.
It was Ujama.
Exactly.
And there was no doubt about it. And so I guess that's what I guess in my spirit, and I guess that's really why I want to kind of have this chat with you today is that, my vision is, look, I know we really, I think our situation really came apart probably around, I'm going to say the late 70s, early 80s, is when I really, the last vestiges of our economy, because during the 50s we were booming. During the 60s, we were, and I think that during the 70s, the latter part of the 70s, I think that maybe, I wasn't in Columbus then, but I'm just guessing that that's when, because I came back, in the middle 80s, and at that time, it was
decimated.
Yeah, it was decimated then. So I guess what I'm saying is that my vision is, okay, what can we do now, in your opinion, coming from where you standpoint? Now, because I look at the psycho-historical dynamics, and I look at it from that standpoint. But you looking at it, from a business standpoint and from your vantage point. What do you think we need to do, given where we are now, to turn the corner? I know that it's going to take. I mean, it's taken 40, 50 years for us to get here.
Yeah.
So we're not going to turn this around next year, next 5, 10. But we need to start turning it around. So in order for us to get back to what I call the cooperative economic, the Ujama, what do you think? Some steps do you think that we need to not first myself? I think we need to have a black chamber of commerce. To me, that is one of the first things to bring those businesses together. Because when we talk about Black Wall Street, that's what it was.
Exactly.
Black Wall Street was a black chamber of commerce.
Right. Well, some of the things would go directly to that point is that we need to gather together. I mean, the concept of Ujama is mutual support and exchange. And one of the things that I'm going to be talking about in an event that's going to be coming up next Saturday is the Finish Wealthy Mastermind. It's going to be in Newnan, Georgia. Is that everybody in this time needs to be focused on having their own business. Now, that's not to say to the exclusion of if they have a job that's paying their bills, but having some measure of control and ownership. Because fundamentally, ownership means that you have something of value.
Right, right.
And whether you're working for the government or you're working for corporate America, if you have stock or whatever, you're owning something that somebody else's. But now, what do you have that you owned of your own?
Right.
Just this Thanksgiving holiday, my son, who I said was the first time he came back to Columbus in over a year. I said, surprised to have a banner at the city limit saying, "Welcome back, Tony." But you know, he was saying that when he came out of college in Morehouse, and that was back when the economy was bad. Now I'll start addressing your question. He said he knew he could always go back and work for his dad. Right. And he said, but he knew his dad would be the hardest boss he would ever work for. Exactly. He's done well, never worked for me yet. But the fact of the matter is, if we had those kind of foundations that our families could be built on from an economic point of view, like my grandfather farmed, and I remember of the 3 generations of us that were around, and my dad was the youngest of his generation, we were all out there working together, and there was value in owning that land. You know, agriculture was the basis of a lot of the wealth in the South for whites and for blacks.
Land is the basis of all power.
Exactly.
So I mean, if you're a landless people is a hopeless people.
And indeed, that's a fact, and we've heard it, read it, and inherently know it that of the people who become millionaires, 97% of it is through owning real estate, investment in real estate. That's something that I'm involved in. But having something that you own, and then understand that you have to develop collective economics by providing opportunities for employment, providing for a valuable service that serves a customer. Most of your clientele are typically, in most businesses, going to be within services and products that are used by the people that are your kindred.
Exactly. Let me just jump in here also, because this is the point that I want to hear you get to, and that is that, see, I talk to a lot of people, and we have come to see we don't really study economics. Mm-hmm. We think that by just having a business that's success, and I raised the ball there. I tell anybody, just because you got a business is not success. Success is when you come together with other business people, and then you do some greater things.
Exactly.
In other words, for example, when the East Indians that are taking a lot of money out of our community through as merchants, etc. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're also they're professional class of people. Right. They are adding money to it, like the accountants, the physicians, and other. They're taking their money, putting it together, and they're investing
expanding. Right.
Okay.
Hello, I am Versandra Kennebrew, founder of VKI Personal Development, and you are watching New Way to Live Network.
We get at this level, well, I got my own business, where I'm a physician or where I got the little store, but that's it. And that's where we're losing it, because it's that next level of collectivity that we are not doing. And so that's part of what we're going to have to do, is that we must somehow get people to understand that it's not successful. I'm getting to the point, really, that I don't even want to do business with people who are not going to be networking with somebody else. If you're not going to network, then I'm just going to go to the open market. That's just that simple with me, because I'm tired of us, just in it for ourselves, we got to stop that, if we're going to survive, because, like again before, when we come together, then we can buy other things collectively, and then we can employ people. But that's when, like what you're doing right now, you don't really have to do this. I mean, really. Your private money. I guess private money sounds like it's private money. I mean, that means money that you have access to.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm trying to say that, but for you to have an understanding of that, look, it's you're successful. You can lean back and smoke cigars and watch football games, and but that's not in your heart. Like I said, that's not your DNA.
I always tell people, I'm gonna burn out, I ain't gonna rust out.
So that's what I'm saying, is that somehow we're gonna have to. Right. And part of my concern is that we have become so intoxicated by the American mindset. And we have not really truly gotten the lessons. We don't really know the true lessons of American enterprise.
Well, one thing is, the spoils of success can all be financed. I mean, a lot of people have the trappings, the cars, all the things. And, it's a matter of preference, and certainly I don't begrudge any of that. But the reality of it is, like I said, as the Bible says, you create inheritance for your children's children. What is the foundation that you built, and then what's built upon that? And on the points that you were making about collectivism, when I started the private money syndicate, my vision was not for it to be of Tony Calloway. I wanted to have a collective body, because this is an evolution that I came into through understanding the economics of our times, because fundamentally, ever since our currency was taken off the gold standard to growing degrees and is magnifying now, the whole economic engine is driven by the credit system. And we all know about the FICO score and things like that, but from the standpoint of businesses being able to have access to capital, the asset market, which is the stock market, is still undergirded and driven by the credit market. And the private money syndicate is about, and the motto, the slogan for the private money syndicate is "Your dreams powered by private money." It's helping people giving them access to non-traditional banking resources. I mean, I've got a number of success stories here locally, but on the collective base, I've got 9 affiliates who are scattered around the country. Most of them are brothers and sisters who I've helped them to learn about this private money brokering, and I could go to say that there have been several hundreds of millions of dollars that we've been able to put in the hands of clients. One of the things that, though, is the counterpoint to where we're having this conversation right now is most of the clients are not African American. Because the thing that I'm glad I'm on the show today to say is that when we visualize how we want to build businesses, they have to actually be able to bring in and deploy capital, so that you can create jobs, so that you can create assets to produce income, whether it's real estate investment, small businesses to provide services, or even I'm helping them factor contract for a manufacturing company that has government contracts, because they don't have enough working capital to actually go out and fill bigger orders. So, and the guy said he could employ more people, and that's up in Decatur, Georgia, where it's probably more brothers and sisters he can put into manufacturing jobs and things like that. So it's partly education and understanding, but the other thing, to your point, is a psychological infrastructure where coming together to have conversations, like back in the old days where you sit around and just listen to the old wise folks talk about back in the day and the day that will come. Now we're entertained and distracted by things and don't see that as it could be say the wool's being pulled over our eyes while the rug is being pulled out from under our feet.
Exactly. Because, and again, unfortunately, and this is again from a psychosocial situation, we become intoxicated with greed and selfishness, and we don't even know it because everybody's doing it. So it's
the old fish know he's swimming in water.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So exactly, and that's the point that we're going to have, and that's why we have to have these discussions to challenge each other. To step up to the next level, we got to give our dollars some sense, and a great part of that is looking at our community and seeing what needs. I mean, I've worked in this area. I did business brokering. What I used to do, and what that basically is that. When businesses are going out of business, before they go out of business, we try to run. Find somebody to buy them. And part of what our committee was, we had to put teams of people together. Because, individuals come in, now you can't get it by yourself. You got to be able to work with somebody else.
And that is so true. Yeah.
And many times we come to this point, I would trust, and we don't even know the process. When somebody try to tell us, we already know everything. No, you don't know everything. If you knew everything, then we wouldn't be in this situation we're in now. But somehow or another, and not against like anything else. I know one thing about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he used to teach. The thing about economics was that, first of all, you got to have a body, an organization that represents a head. That when they're willing to come together and be able to form an economic body.
Right.
And that's why I say it's so important that we come together and form a chamber of commerce of sorts. I like to call it, the Black Wall Street. We part of the Black Wall Street movement.
That's what we ought to name it.
Exactly. Because one of the things that kind of irks me during this time of the year, you got Black Friday, and then people in our community having these pop-ups. But I'm trying to say is that they popping up. Okay, we popping up. I got mine. You been on the table. You got yours. So I'm just getting my money. Then after this all over, we probably don't see each other no more. I'm trying to say that's not about Black Friday. That's not about cooperativeness. So my thing is that we need to, when we come together, let's don't just come together to make money this time, then the next time I guess come up there'll be somebody trying to pimp Kwanzaa. I'm trying to say that not because of living the Kwanzaa values. What I'm trying to say is that we do this chance for us to make some money. And we'll sell some Afrocentric stuff. We don't like it, but we're going to do it just to make money. We can't continue to go down that path, in my opinion. We have to come together. It's like anything else. Look, I'm not in private money, so so therefore I'm going to sit with you, and then we talk about it, and I'm going to let you lead the discussion. Because why am I going to try to lead the discussion? Now, when it get over into how to get people involved, then I can jump in discussion then. But my point is that we don't even know how to respect our lanes. And that's part of the problem. That's why we have so many collisions and conflicts and clashes, is because we don't want to be in no lane. As opposed to, let's do a super highway. You know what I'm saying? But you can't have no super highway if you don't have people go stay in their lane.
Right.
So and you won't make it to your destination, in the traffic jam. So what do you think about that?
Well, I agree that, there are a lot of ills and some of the things that have come about because of, let's just say, lack of economic leadership, to the extent that, and I'll take two of the things you just mentioned and tell two stories. I had the opportunity to go to a Korean family office meeting back in April, I think it was, and they had it at Columbus Country Club. And it was a Korean American family. Now, one thing, because I go there, expect to see a lot of folks who look Korean.
Right.
But in the Korean culture, if you have any Korean in you, they consider you Korean.
Right, exactly. Hello, I'm Dr. Aleem Hud, the executive producer and host of Visions Now, and you're watching Visions Now on New Way to Live Network.
And I saw folk that look like us, along with the ones who look like Koreans. They're all sitting around in there.
Yeah, because we spent a lot of time in Korea.
Yeah. Now, the thing about it was, there were about 40-some-odd people, between 40 and 45 folks in the room. And on the point of economic leadership, the elders were like the old wise folks sitting back, and then the younger folks were presenting them with business ideas with how they could take their money, which was a massive, something like $50 million, and they're talking about moving that money and doing things in Panama, South Africa, buying property on the riverfront. I'm involved in some things they're doing locally and abroad. That's from the standpoint of, but they're sitting around having these conversations. You got three generations. The point I was just, 3 generations. They're in the meeting, and they meet, I think, twice a year, and they have these conversations. Now, another point you mentioned was about what we know and what we don't know. Now, I've not got permission to use his name, but there's a young brother right here in Columbus, Georgia, who about 2 years ago he had a unassuming means of making money. He had a tow truck,
right,
and he was going up, picking up cars that need to be towed and doing repos, right. And he'd take his money and go out and buy houses, pay cash for them, right. Sweat of his own brow, go fix them up and rent them out. At the time we met, he had 13 houses. Right. And so all of them paid for cash. And so I said, well, man, look, and he met me at a real estate investment club meeting that I happened to go to. He was sitting behind me. I gave him my card. He called me a few weeks later. We sat and talked, and I explained to him about leverage and return on investment. And now, with the money he had and the income he had, couldn't go to the bank. So, utilizing access to private money. I said, well, if you'll follow this process I'm showing you in 2 years, I'll make you a millionaire. Right. Now, we're working on cashing out, refining some of his properties. Make a long story short, he just closed on a property back in October, and that was his 43rd. Right. He picked up 30 houses, right. And with the cash he's taken out to go out and leverage and buy these houses, plus the $200,000 I said annual positive cash flow he still has, with the cash and the cash flow in 24 months, $1 million.
Well,
but that's education
right.
to utilize a tool, because money's a tool.
Exactly.
But having a game plan that started with a good solid foundation. He owned his business,
right.
and he was reinvesting his money
right.
into something that made money.
Right.
It doesn't make, you don't prosper, we don't prosper, if we make our money
right.
and we go out and spend it
exactly.
on other things that are not going to make money, that depreciate. Exactly. And so just having that basic consciousness to go back to the way the old folks used to tell us, like you say, your money got to have sense.
That's right. That's right.
and understand that there are opportunities, there aren't traditional mechanisms. That's what the private money syndicate is about. It's about educating and giving people access to capital to do productive things with that money, not to go out and do the things that we typically do, but to go out and invest in real estate, to start and fund businesses. And I got stories I could tell about all that stuff. But between the two, the Korean Family Office, that's a family that operates as a business with a tax ID number. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
And say, like I said,
I know exactly what you're saying.
That's what was Black Wall Street.
Right,
Everything
right.
stayed in the circle.
Exactly.
And things came into, in other words, their money comes into that family and gets leveraged.
Exactly.
Our money comes from the outside, goes right back out,
right.
and then we sit around and talk about the toys we have,
right.
instead of the plans
and
that we need to bring ourselves
not,
together to accomplish.
Auburn beat Alabama or not, I mean, that's fine, but what about Tuskegee and Alabama State? I mean, my point is that
and then our institutions.
We are so engaged in being spectators on other people's institutions, other people rise, but we're not investing time with each other. One of the things that I'd like to get your opinion on this as well, that troubled me greatly, and that is that Citizen Trust Bank left Columbus.
Yeah.
And I have my own theory as to why it left. And it was not all on Columbus only, but now there was some issues. I mean, I think that Columbus failed, but also I think that the people who are running Citizen Trust Bank now, they are out of touch with the heritage of Citizen Trust Bank. See, when the bank was Mr. Young, when the bank was first brought here, and I was part of the group initially, myself and some other people. The point was, he said they weren't going to leave Columbus; that they were here to stay and to make it work. But he, unfortunately, he had he passed, and his predecessor, when he came after, didn't have the same. They don't have the same commitment. They run a bank with the DNA of black people the same way people who've already made it run their bank. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't run it like okay, this is a territory, there's no black bank. We're going to be in here, this is the second largest city. No, we're going to be in here and we're going to make this work. Yeah. As opposed to, it's not working, so we're just going to pull it out.
And, in fact, I'm working with a group, and we're working to open up a black-owned credit union in LaGrange. And because there are things called predatory lending,
right? Yeah.
Which, when we talk about things that sap money out of our communities, I mean, so many of our people are unbanked,
right? And
from the standpoint, that means they turn to go into the liquor store to cash a check and payday loans and all these other kind of things. And you go down to the buy here, pay here. Right. As a matter of fact, I was in the steam room at the YMCA. Ernest and I were talking to a guy the other day. They own a car lot. He say, he tell people, hey, if you can't make the payments, just bring it back, because they got low jack on us that we'll come save us from coming to get it. We'll just sell it to somebody else. Right. And so our pursuit in doing that is to do two things in that area: is to buy some property, put a structure there that's the bank, but also have in there, because there's no grocery stores in that area. Right. Is to have and working with the Southwest Georgia Farmers Cooperative. I'm a member of that. Right. Is they grow organic food, bring healthy food into an area that's unserved by banking, unserved by the basic commerce, which is food, and to create some foundation to prosper that community, which is to the point, as you discussed, in Citizens Trust Bank. Now, I don't know the details. I knew one of the guys who was one of the executives there, and I remember when one of our local former retired bankers from CB&T was running it.
Right.
Yes, and one of the things was getting depositors. And I think some people took pride in the fact that it was a black-owned bank. Now, how it was operating, the connection with the decisions that were made post Mr. Young's death about closing, it probably didn't perform what they had hoped to, but again, that goes back to commitment.
Right,
now, I think commitment, as you know, goes both ways. You know, you have to give commitment in order to receive commitment.
Exactly.
When things get tough and you stay, is when I know you're committed.
Exactly. You know? And that's part of it that was that when Mr. Young came and it began to evolve, the situation my thought would have been is that, okay, well, things not going well right now, let us dial down, get a smaller location, but we're still going to have a presence here and regroup in that fashion. But again, they got that Atlanta, New York state of mind. I mean, not the old Atlanta, the new Atlanta, state of mind, where they're not committed to anything in terms of growth for communities.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing about it also is that, my thing is that, why aren't you bringing opportunities, because there are opportunities the bank could provide for community development, CDBG funds, I think it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying they weren't getting their hands into that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, the mainstay for banking, because I work on the non-traditional, non-bank lending, but the same thing with my business, brokering private loans, is business. Deposits come from consumers, but loans are made to businesses.
Right.
Hello, my name is Star Thomas, owner and operator here at North Lumpkin Beauty and More, and today we'd like to welcome you. I would like to welcome you to Columbus, Georgia's first and only black-owned beauty supply, shop, and fashion clothing store. We're open from Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. We carry virgin hair, Remy hair, and natural hair products with brands like Milky Way, Saga, JBS, and more. If you are looking for competitive pricing, boutique clothing, hair care products, and a beauty shop all under one roof, then stop in today. Mention this commercial to receive your 10% off.
North Lumpkin Beauty and More, 3448 North Lumpkin Road, Columbus, Georgia. Call us today, 706-221-5243.
Operation of that nature to survive and to thrive is you got to have, it's kind of like raindrops turning into a pond or lake, which is a pool of money that can then be loaned out productively to create leverage, to create jobs, to create value in the marketplace through businesses. Businesses are engines that create value, basically. Right. I mean, they create efficiencies and economies. In other words, instead of us going around, we're talking about grocery stores.
Right.
Thousands of years ago, out foraging, trying to find food. We started farming, and then we started having farmers markets.
Exactly.
Right, so now we have supermarkets.
Right, exactly.
and so from the standpoint, we know we can go somewhere and find everything we need instead of having to go 50 different places to find 50 different things.
Exactly.
Well, that's what businesses do. They create value by creating a good or service or a product that they can then, whether it's a digital product that you send out over the internet, or if it's a physical product or service that's provided, value is created.
See, part of the problem to me is that, and that's why we're in the think tank room here. Okay, this is what we call the think tank room.
Okay, all right.
Part of the problem is that, okay, we don't have a place, we won't even come and sit to plan, if it don't even come up, but at least to sit down and have the discussion to go to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Because I know for a fact that, for example, back in the day, the reason why that bank was successful was because black churches going back into the black insurance company. Black churches, all the black churches were going to put money in the black bank.
Yep.
Then the business people who were in the churches, they were going to put their money in there. Then the parishioners going to put. So therefore, it was a guaranteed success. But here in Columbus, Georgia, there was. We still wanted to. We did not commit our community money via our church and businesses to, and see, my thing was this: if the bank is not doing something that is workable, my thing is, as a community, we sit down and say, hey, look, we got to talk. It's not an option that, no, you're going to have to change some policy. And like I told them in time, let's go up to Atlanta, let's sit down with those people and tell them, no, look, this is how we need to do it here. But of course, that's the way
Yeah.
We did it in Detroit. I mean, in terms of doing things of that sort. And while I was there, about I was part of two black banks who emerged. First National was one of First National Black Bank.
You're talking in Detroit?
In Detroit,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just saying, so I've seen how the community is galvanized, but again, and I'm glad that you mentioned about the credit union, because perhaps we should, this night should be over, but perhaps, we've learned, and maybe, if the credit union goes well in LaGrange, maybe we get a branch here or something. I mean,
well, that's already in discussion. Okay. But let me take, you just mentioned Detroit. I have 3 of my affiliates who are in Detroit, and it's really been interesting because I have family in Detroit too.
Yeah.
When we see how Detroit has gone through its demise and how it's being. Well, yeah, everybody got family in Detroit. How it's coming back,
right?
And me and the brothers who are up there, we talk about how everybody is coming in and buying Detroit except for the folks who live in Detroit.
Well, because they won't come together.
And that is indeed the point that we funded some deals up there in Detroit, but to think how much of the population that we represent, and I want to put a pin in another thing that you said about coming together. I think one of the things, and I'm sure we could agree or disagree, a lot of times we come together and talk, but nothing happens after the meeting's over with.
Exactly.
It's like,
but that's what I'm saying.
Now going out and taking tactical plans to show some progress, move the ball down the field, so to say that the plan is working or the plan ain't working.
Right.
But at least we're making some progress. It ain't gonna be pretty, making sausage.
Look, I don't know if some of you might remember. Some years ago, when George Crawford had his restaurant, we used to have what we call urban economics group.
I was still in the military at the time,
and the whole thought was that just like you have in Minnesota City, you have an economics club. Mm-hmm. Okay, what they talk about? Okay, where's our economics club? So, but again, when you talk to people about that, I'm too busy. I'm trying to say, how can you be too busy? This is survival work here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a matter of just a nice thing to do. This is something that we got to do.
Well, I think some maybe not new traditions. Old traditions need to be restored.
Right, exactly.
That's probably the way to put it. And from the standpoint, it was kind of cool over Thanksgiving. My son-in-law said when we were part of camp, it was great to just sit down and share.
Right,
and sometimes you have an agenda. Sometimes it's, like I say, hot topics of the day.
Right.
2 things that come to mind is, a safe place to where people can talk about, like back during the civil rights movement, the black churches where we can come together and talk about what we're going to do.
Exactly.
And make some plans. But then there was the other part of just being able to come together and feel a sense of connectedness.
Exactly.
And we're not in this struggle alone.
Exactly.
I think there are those in the struggle alone and those who think they're succeeding alone, and they may well be. But if I can, kind of talk about the
plantation living, they're doing fine in plantation living.
Right.
But in freedom living, liberation living. No,
Well, like I said, there's no cultural group that I'm aware of because other than the Native Americans, everybody who's in America now came here.
Right.
And so many of the people who came here came for economic opportunity. We came here to be the economic engine of a time back, during slavery.
Right. Well, actually, we were here, thousands of years back and forth.
That's right. The African Americans discovered the New World.
Right.
They just didn't write it up.
We were the Indians. We were called the Indians. And basically what happened that when that particular era came in, that it was an old civilization that had kind of fallen. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But that was not the high point, and so that's how they brought us here. Because now I tell people this all the time. You're not going to bring millions of ignorant people that don't know their head from their tail to build no country or to work. So therefore, we have been all over Europe and Asia and the rest of the world building castles and bridges. And everybody knew we were the agriculturalists. So that everybody knew to bring us. We were skilled people that were brought here. Okay, I got a movie right over here over my shoulder here called The Prince of Slaves. That talks about the fact that he was an agricultural scientist.
Right.
They just got caught in the trap. And again, it wasn't, slave. We were prisoners of war. They were fighting a war against us. We didn't realize that was really the continuation of a war that they were fighting against us during the Crusades, and then they continued. And that was parts of Africa. Africa was a big place. We didn't even know that they were still fighting us. But then when they started coming in and taking us out of that, then we realized, wait a minute, it's a new era. Because we had moved to another level of civilization. That then retarded our development when we were brought here. And so therefore the genius that we had, you can see it here, there would not be America without us.
Exactly.
I mean, I got a list of inventions. I mean, you look at all the inventions and say, well, how could we possibly live without that? Well, we really couldn't. We really couldn't. But that's what we brought to this situation. Before as we begin to move into our wrap up here, I want to ask this question: how does a person access? How do they qualify for private money?
Okay. Well, if I can tell folks how to get in contact with me.
Okay,
you can reach out and call me, Tony Calloway, at 706-888-3719. I say that's my bat phone. It's on the number I have. 706-888-3719. And I did want to talk about this because basically private lending is based on three things. It's based on revenue. Now, I can work with businesses and have as little as $3,000 a month coming in. I even do loans for folks who have a decent credit score, say they want to get a loan to start a business, because that's probably one of the biggest areas people want to start businesses, and I encourage that. But then you got to run and have a path to grow your business. So revenue is more important than credit score. The other thing is assets or collateral. I mentioned the gentleman who collateralized his budding real estate empire and leveraged it, not overly so, but from the standpoint of where he still got positive cash flow and it's got 40 some odd properties now instead of just 13, or he might have had 15 or 20 going the route that he was working with. And then the third thing is looking at how to, when I say capitalize the business, how do you make money? And when I'm talking at the event on the 7th of December, in fact, it's the Finish Wealthy Mastermind, and you can look it up on Facebook. Finish Wealthy Mastermind is going to be in Noonan, Georgia from 9 to 4 on the 7th of December. Helping people understand that consumer debt is one thing, but for example, I wrote an article that was published in a magazine that said that Sprint has got billions of dollars of lines of credit that they're putting in place anticipating an economic downturn. Because what happens when things go south is people that have cash can go buy things cheap.
Right.
That's what we're talking about, Detroit and downtown Columbus and all these things, the ones who had cash. Well, cash doesn't have to be cash. Cash could be credit.
Right.
And so helping small business owners and entrepreneurs understand that having a line of credit is better than having your credit card, and it's better than not having cash to be able to grow your business.
Right.
I've had several clients who have government contracts or contracts with FedEx and some of these big companies to do work, but they get paid on terms. And what I mean is they get paid 30 days or 60 days after they got to fund the labor, they got to fund the material. Just like defects. Exactly. So if you don't have cash to go in and do the job, you get stuck at a level and you can't grow. So the banks aren't doing the lending to small business. For private lenders like the Private Money Syndicate, and you can look us up on privatemoneysyndicate.com, are available to help people to get access to non-bank lending, non-bank capital. And the beautiful thing about our network is that we help to nurture relationships to help people who might not be ready yet, but who have entrepreneurial ideas, who have opportunities to invest in real estate or business or otherwise, to then grow a business and an opportunity to work toward economic freedom.
Okay.
To have ownership.
You're going to have to come back because we're going to have to do it. Because, we got to feed our people economics.
Amen.
Let me ask you this. What's the name of that fish? It's a small fish, but it would eat you up if you put your hand into it.
You're talking about piranha?
Right. That's exactly
okay.
right. Now, what I'm saying is that there's a Shark Tank, and I think we need to have a piranha tank.
Okay.
So we would start a piranha tank, for small businesses.
Well,
and we would try to do that at one time. We invited people in with proposals. I mean,
that would be cool because actually I have a partner of mine who actually has several radio stations. I'm going to be doing a radio show called The Private Money Show, where what we're going to do is have businesses to come and talk about their business and what they need, and we will discuss, and it'll be educational whether or not we be able to get them funding, so that people on a broader basis can understand how do you position yourself. See, sometimes it's just like football. You got to go break the huddle, and you got to get in position to be able to run the play.
Right.
You know?
Let me ask you something. What about funding for YouTube channel?
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If it generates revenue.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to syndicate this program here. So
sounds fantastic.
So we might get started on that. Let me just say this also, that Reverend Jesse and I, we have been meeting several months. Trying to put together a breakfast group. To have discussion like we're talking about right now, to actually have discussion where people can bring different opportunities. Yeah, we don't do anything but analyze them. But at least, but continue to come, not just show one time. So okay, well, we had that meeting. No, but commit to at least doing something. But taking the time to build the trust. 'Cause I know we're wounded, we're bruised, we're intoxicated with America. But at the same time, we know we got to work on ourselves.
Exactly.
Work with ourselves. So I'd like to thank you again, brother, for what you've done. And again,
thank you so much.
I think you the guru when it relates to this Black Chamber, our Black Wall Street movement.
Exactly.
And I'd like to welcome you to the Black Wall Street movement.
Glad to be part.
That's what it's all about. And so
All right.
we're gonna commit to try to do something to elevate our people's conditions. Because I think that really, if these young people who find some hope in their lives, like we're talking about, they won't be out here killing each other like they do.
I totally agree.
Okay, that's first part of Visions Now. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come right back with hot topics with my weekly guests, round table with Queen Barbara Pierce, the diva, and Brother Richard Jesse, and the advocator, and of course the community organizer. So we're gonna come back and have a little discussion about some hot topics that we all have on our mind. So again, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, and do that genealogist. Okay, now you need me to do it for you. Now I can.
I'm gonna make sure you get an invitation to the family reunion.
All right, okay. I'd love to do a presentation. Yeah,
Wonderful.
How we can do it real good. So is that all minds hard and clear? We're gonna take a little break and come back with more Visions Now on People Power to the People News. Good.
Okay. All right. Wow. The first time.
Hello, my name is Juan Lane, and thank you for tuning in to this station, New Way to Live. Listen, we can't do it without your help. We need you to send your donations in today. This is how this station operates, and we're trying to do the very best for you and your family with the production that we have. We are really giving it our all, but we cannot continue it without your financial support. So please send your offerings in to P.O. Box 3615, Columbus, Georgia 3631903, in care of New Way to Live, and we'll make sure that we get it on so we can keep this great program going. If you and your family are enjoying it, we pray that you continue we pray that you send us a offering that we can continue it and do the very best for you. Also, make sure that you watch our public education program. This is a very special program where it can help you prepare for your next test. The public education program right here on New Way to Live. Thank you.
Did you know that the majority of people have no will, trust, or power of attorney? What will happen to your children, property, or other assets? If you can't make decisions for yourself, who will know your wishes? Will the appropriate people know where to find all of your personal and financial documentations and information? Well, we have a program developed by attorneys to complete at your own pace from the comfort of your home. You can update this program as needed with no add-ons or surprise fees. You can secure all of your important information in this virtual password-protected safety deposit box with easy-to-use services and client support system available. Please call me today at 706-366-5520. Again, call me today at 706-366-5520. I hope to hear from you soon.